So, almost in the news again. Not for good things. Again. So it looks like we're up to 30 women that have now accused Cuomo of alleged abuse and bullying in the workplace. Of course, the Democrats have come and started saying for him to resign. He's very adamant that he is not going to resign, though. He is in it for the long haul. Um, so, what do we think? Do you think he can be a leader with such an overwhelming amount of opposition? And the voters actually believe in him anymore? I can't see him being able to do his job with this many women coming out and his whole reaction being, I didn't know I was doing something I wasn't supposed to do. Can that fly? Or is it just because we're in like this post Trump America where things have been getting away with? Are we going to keep letting this get away?
This is a very hard question from somebody who lives in New York. I don't know if he will ever resign on his own accord. I think that this is a situation where you're going to have to force him out of office, and that's why there's so many people calling for his resignation, including, um, I mean, Alexandria Ocasio Cortez and Jamal Bowman, who are both senators or representatives in the area. Um, I know that a lot of the more elites of the party have not called for his resignation, even though Bill De Blasio, of course, with his saltiness, of course, did. Um, I don't know if we live in a culture yet that is going to immediately get his resignation. I just think that we live in a time where people can. It's gonna up to 30 people. 30 new people just came up and said that they were inappropriately spoken to by, I mean, the terms are very varied between the people, but I don't know if we are in the process yet where he's going to actually have any consequences. I don't think he would win in 2022 when he has to run again.
Well, they're saying that it looks like it's like six women that have like that came forward with consistent and highly detailed accounts, and that they've been referred to the police. Cuomo's denied any wrongdoing. State's Democrat Attorney General Lita Jones announced an investigation into the sexual assault allegations, which will be headed by former federal prosecution and an employment lawyer. Andrew Cuomo's current aides called former colleagues to try to discredit another ex-employee, accusing the governor, according to the Wall Street Journal. His office reportedly called six former staffers to get information about Lindsay Boylan after she first came forward and with allegations of sexual harassment, and some told the Journal that they felt the calls led by the governor's secretary, Melissa DeRosa, were an intimidation tactic. Another exec, Annalise, claimed after Cuomo's senior advisor, Rich as a party, I'm going to say that, called to say how much she accomplished during the time they worked working for the governor, and with the conversation ending positively after she said she hadn't connected with Boylan. Cuomo denied any wrongdoing, and the Independent has reached out to the office for a response to these specific allegations. In response to the Journal, as a party said the calls weren't coordinated by DeRosa and that outreach happened organically when everyone's phone started to blog up. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but yeah, it does sound like they were a little bit trying to go after these people and trying to find out some dirt on them and pressure people into saying things like, "No, Cuomo never did anything to me. Everything was fine."
You why? Right. I'm sure Cuomo did whatever he did, right? I'm just curious why this didn't come out when, like, I guess because he wasn't running for president, but they were just considering it. Well, I don't understand why it wasn't brought up earlier. I'm not
Well,
saying that
Boylan actually did bring it up 3 years ago.
3 years
That's
ago.
the thing.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
she brought it up years ago, and people did not believe her until I forgot what the second victims. And I only say second because that's what, like, people who reported.
Yeah.
The second reporting victim just spoke up recently, and then four other people followed that. So that's kind of more where we're coming from.
Mm.
Um, she literally was kind of pushed out of her position as well. Susan Boylan. So she's probably the most reputable case, but with the least amount of evidence, which is very hard because she's the one who was the most outspoken, but she doesn't have quote unquote evidence. Evidence is very difficult in these situations because most of these are going to be like, for instance, I'm just going to report on one of the recent allegations. Is that an accuser, Anna Liz, was who told New York Magazine started pursuing mental health services when I was there because she thought she was going crazy. Her parents thought she was going nuts. She was angry and crying all the time and went on Lexapro. She did call a suicide hotline because she felt like she was a friggin' nobody. Basically, so she's saying that the abuse, it's bullying and intimidation in the office that occurred, caused her to be pushed into a position where the radicalized abuse is there was just to fill a quota as well. And so their whole opinion of like being there is not valid to Cuomo. So that's actually probably more of the what we should be focused on, except for the fact that we should get him out of office. But
Yeah.
it, the question wasn't should do I think he should be out of office. The question is, are we at a point in society to get him out of office? And I don't think so. I think we're at a point where we'll go through the investigation. I think Cuomo's going to hold to his guns, and I don't think he's going to win a re-election in
Yeah, but they're
2022.
talking about impeachment. They might actually try to see about impeaching him. Because
If
I
the
honestly,
investigation goes,
I don't understand though. If you work at a regular office, at a regular 9 to 5, and you tried to make these same things happen, they're gonna fire you off the strength that you shouldn't even be talking like this. And I think after once the first person comes along, you really need to stop and evaluate this person. And it's hard to be the first person to stand up to say something happened to you, because you are going to get what our society loves, which is, victim blaming. Well, what did you do? What were you wearing? What is all this? And it's just sad. And I know, like, somebody was talking about, like, oh, well, he was just hugging her, like, what's the big deal with the hug? From a man's perspective, and I was talking about this to another coworker with mine, and she was saying the same thing as I was. From a man's perspective, a hug is a hug. If you're not a scumbag dude, you're gonna say, yeah, a hug's a hug. It's not a big deal. But a scumbag dude knows a hug is not a hug. A hug is a chance to cop a feel on some woman's breast, or to hold her towards your penis, and to hold her for too long to make it uncomfortable. That is not a turn on. There is no woman that ever walked away from a hug like that and was like, that guy, I want that guy. He can hold on to me for longer than is appropriate.
Yeah.
No, we don't like that. Nobody likes that. Nobody's turned around and said, oh, yeah, definitely want to sleep with that guy now. No. And we know what the lingering hug is. We always put our butts out for that reason, because we don't want to be close to some guy, especially if we don't know them and they try to go in for a hug. It's awkward. It's weird. We are on to you. We know what it is. But that's the stuff that makes you feel like you're going crazy. Am I crazy? Or was that hug too long? Am I crazy? Or did he just pass his hand against my ass when I walked by because I had to go close to him? Am I crazy? Or did he just say something to me that was inappropriate? And then that's why you have those issues when it comes, especially to women, where they're like, they second guess themselves. Maybe I'm just crazy. Well, he hasn't done it to anybody else. They try to ask these secret questions to each other, like, well, did anything, like, without trying to say it all the way out there, because they don't want to be the one that's the only one it's happening to, because then you do second guess yourself. Are you going crazy? But that's all within the person that's actually doing the abuse. They're making you feel like that.
Yep. 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 I just it just sucks, man. Oh, that I don't know. This this guy, I didn't like him for a long period of time. I explained that even when they were talking about running him for president and everything else like that. I was like, why? This guy has been a jerk for many, many years. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of expected hearing about this sooner, and I expected him being kicked out sooner. Um, I'm always critical when it comes to accusing everybody, and especially like with this whole cancel culture, like type of stuff that everybody's trying to pull on everything and anybody. freaking Pepe Le Pew's a victim. Like all these things are going on or whatever it is. But for the fact that they're gonna accuse this guy, and like I'm like I could see him getting kicked out. But the fact that he's using that as an excuse that they're just trying to cancel me for whatever reason, I don't buy that at all. I don't know if I believe every single person that have said everything either, but I know with him, I knew he was a scumbag. So like I can kind of like guess that he did, do all that stuff, or assume he did all that stuff. I would like obviously proof, just like any other person. I'm one of those type of people that I always want to see proof for things, because I don't want anybody getting screwed over a lie or whatever it is.
That's
But
what makes
this
it so
guy,
hard with
this guy,
situations like this.
yeah, that's what I'm
Because it
saying.
happens
I
when no
know,
one's around. It
I know, you're
happens
right.
when it's just you and one
I'd
other
also
person.
Yeah,
I'd like to
yeah,
say that on Thursday, the state's top Democrats in the state assembly had launched a plan for a judiciary committee to begin an impeachment investigation. So that is not an easy thing to lever.
yeah, yeah,
So that's a lot of legislators that you have to launch an investigation. You have to have at least 50% of the legislature.
yeah. I'm just happy. I'm like I said, if they get him out and he did all this stuff, I'll be happy for it.
I mean, it's
Well, he
crazy because
definitely.
good.
Oh, please
Yeah,
go.
go ahead.
No, I was
I
just
was just gonna.
saying. You and go go.
I was just saying, like, I mean, the hugest thing is that he also hid numbers of people dying.
Yep.
So
That's what I was
He
gonna say.
did that. He did so
Not
much
only are
other.
you
Yep,
doing a
yep,
shitty job,
yep.
but you're also sexually
That should have been
harassing and
that should
abusing
have been the
your
thing.
coworkers.
That right there should have been the thing that triggered everything. Like meaning, like he should have been out just on that alone. You know what I mean? Let alone anything else.
may not be
Just
a crime. It may
yep,
not be a high crime.
yep. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. But some of the people get. That's why I said, man. These politicians get away with all sorts of crap, man. And this is why citizens are afraid to act on a lot of stuff, because they're like, it's me versus him. He's got the power. You know what I mean? Like it's a scary thing, man. It's like dealing with the police. An average person dealing with the police is like, it's your word versus their word, and they're the ones that have seniority in a sense just because of their position. It's not necessarily as in real life they're more of a seniority person, but because that they're quote unquote respected by certain people, that their word is more valued than yours. Like, I didn't do this, officer, or whatever, but the officer said you did it, and so you're guilty. So it's
But it's tough because he even said, like, oh, well, I didn't know. Nobody told me.
yeah. I mean, just the
Okay,
fact that
so
he
what
did
if they
that
did
proved it.
tell
Yeah,
you,
he did
sir?
it.
What happens if they did tell you? What would you have done? Would you have felt embarrassed and maybe I don't want to work with this person anymore and maybe blacklisted them and buried them somewhere where they couldn't get anywhere in their future career? Okay, maybe that's what you would have done. Cuomo's trying to come off like, oh, I'm just some regular Joe that may have stepped on a couple of toes, but I didn't know. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know. No one told me. No one should have to tell you. Don't be a scumbag. Don't friggin' touch people when they don't want to be touched. Nobody wants to be touched. I don't ever want to be touched. I could make myself seem as the most approachable person. This doesn't mean come up and touch me. Sure doesn't mean go come and grab me by my titty. I don't want that. Sorry. No, not happening.
If a lot of people have that 1950s mentality, like they can get away, like these people of power feel like they can do whatever, and that's why a lot of people, these older, privileged, entitled, whatever, you know, people out there or whatever, feel like that's what they want. You know what I mean? They want to have that kind of like power again, and because people are like, no, we're not hearing that anymore. We don't like the fact that you don't like people that are gay. We don't like the fact that you don't like people that are black. We don't like the fact that people that are, you know what I mean, like we're tired of it. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, but that why it was fine before. The fact that people, who is it? You told me about. I don't know if you wanted to talk about that or not today, about the whole Ted Cruz thing with the book thing, the book signing thing that you were talking about. You're not going to talk about that later, right?
No.
Or basically, she said Ted Cruz was selling books.
Oh, for Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, for Dr. Seuss or whatever it is, and made money off of it. And he's like, for cancel culture, and I'm like, but the company canceled it. It wasn't the people requesting to cancel it, but because people are so uneducated in this country and because they want things a certain way, they fall for it, and they're like, no, that's cancel culture. Tucker Carlson and all these other people talking all this junk, and they're banking on the people not doing the research or putting two, one and two together, um, to figure certain things out and see what it is for what it is, and
But
that's
that just comes back down to cancel culture, and why they're so opposed to it just comes back down to the whole thing of they don't like that people are having the power of saying what they don't like and getting rid of it. They
getting
don't
rid of
like
them. They're
it.
like, sorry, you're not
Yeah,
famous anymore. You're not powerful
that's
anymore
they
because you
don't like
screwed
it,
up.
and that's why they're trying to go after cancel culture. Oh, cancel culture, we got to go after it. We got to get rid of this. Why? Because you don't like the people are having the power. The people are bringing the power back to them. They don't like you. We're gonna get rid of you. Sorry, that's how it's gonna go. Like that's it. That's it.
This happened 20 years ago. Yeah, but you did it, didn't you? You're still an asshole, right? Like so. Yeah, yeah. We don't want you anymore. You know, you don't want to leave. You lied about freaking debts. Like I said, that alone should have kicked him out. This extra stuff shouldn't have had to come out for him to get fired. You know what I mean? But if it means them getting fired, I mean, it should come out because it should be exposed. But I don't think this should be the reasons for why he's going to be getting kicked out. It should have been, he should have been kicked out back then because of these reasons. But now that these new reasons came out, he should have been kicked out from this for these reasons. So now it's both of these reasons why he's getting kicked out. Why did it have to take both of them for him to be kicked out? That's just like showing that the system doesn't work. That you have to have a mountain of crap in order for you to kick somebody out. It can't be just that one thing that he did that should have been serious enough to have kicked him out. You know what I mean? But that's just, I don't know. That's the system, right? Like if you got money and
That's how the
power,
system works. It's a very
yeah.
slow system.